where the kids are?
Yeah. All right, let me go see if it's back on.
Communication as part of ceremonies and rituals and communication and music to share. So they did a great job today. I'm going to let you guys head on back to your class. All right, some of you might have noticed I have on a hat from the jungle. Well, I have some friends out here also that are going to come. So some of our friends from Miss O'Neill's class have gone on a safari. They have gone on a safari to seek out some information about some very special creatures. So I'm going to ask them if my other safari mates would stand up. And our explorers are going to make their way to the front. Now they have some really important information, some research. They've gone all the way to the Congo in Western Africa to find out all this information. So they're going to share with you what they've learned about some really important creatures.
An elephant is the Earth's largest land mammal. And elephants use their trunks to breathe and suck up water. The largest African elephant was a male African bull elephant, which stood 13 feet tall and weighed over 20,000 pounds. Silverback gorillas are the most dangerous gorillas. There are only 700 left in the world. That means they are endangered. They have 98% of our human DNA. That means they are very similar. We are very similar to gorillas. They were discovered in 1902 by a German officer, Captain von Britain.
All right, let's thank them for all those wonderful. One book in one school. From the information that was just given, can you guess in your head what two characters might be in our upcoming book? Think in your head. Think in your head.
Do you want to stand up?
Tell me the two characters. Who do you think? Okay, good job. Next screen, please. I want to show you the author of our book that we're going to read is named Catherine Applegate. Has anyone ever heard of that name? Maybe you know some books? Oh, so I see some fifth graders who have their hands up. As you start to realize what book we're going to read, keep the name of that book in your head, okay? And we'll reveal at the very end. All right. On March 16th, I was very excited. Oh, I'm going to wait till I have listeners. Thank you. On March 16th, I got to go to Norfolk, Virginia, and I got to hear and meet Catherine Applegate. It was very exciting for me because she's one of my favorite authors. And if you look at the screen, do you know what that screen says? It says, I hate reading. She told a story that when she was in elementary school, she did not like to read at all. And then there was one book that she started to read. She fell in love with that character, and then she kept on reading and reading some more. And then she decided that it would be fun to start writing some books once she got older. Now, I know some of your teachers have Twitter, and she will answer teachers that tweet to her. So maybe if you want to find out what book she fell in love with, you could do some research on Google or in the library, or maybe you could tweet and ask her what that one book was that she read that sparked her interest into reading. Okay? All right, I'm going to show you a picture. Now, listen a minute. You see two baby gorillas, don't you? Yes. What do you notice about those gorillas? They have clothes on. Now, boys and girls, listen a minute. Should baby gorillas have clothes on, or when they're out in the wild with their mama, should they have clothes on? No. I want to tell you a story, and this is what Catherine told us when she was speaking. She saw a newspaper article, and she saw this picture of these two gorillas. One was a male, a boy, and one's a female, a girl. The girl was named Burma, and the little boy was named Ivan. And she saw this newspaper article. Oh, keep it a secret. Keep it a secret. She saw this newspaper article about how these two babies had been taken from their mama in their natural habitat in Africa. And they had been sold to a man who wanted to keep them in a store, a mall. Has anyone ever been to the mall in Harrisonburg? Okay. Do you see gorillas in that mall? No. Hands down, listen. That man wanted people to come to his mall. So he was going to put these gorillas in a cage so that people would come and see them. Is that what gorillas are meant to do? No. So, the sad thing that happened, and Catherine was reading an article and doing some research. The little girl gorilla, she got sick and died. The little boy gorilla, he needed a place to go. And so the man who bought him took him home as a pet. Now, let's think a minute. Do gorillas stay little, or do they stay big or grow big? They get big. And after 3 years, Mac, who bought these gorillas, he realized this gorilla was getting way too big to live in a house. So he put him in a cage. This is a picture of the department store in Tacoma, Washington. That state is far away from us, like 3,000 miles away from us, west. Okay? So, next picture. This is Ivan as he started to get bigger, and they put him in a cage. And he kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is what happened to Ivan for 27 years. He stayed in a cage, and that was glass that he's looking out of. Do you see grass or trees that he can play in? No, there's no grass or trees. So this was Ivan, the shopping mall gorilla, where people would come and see him. So Catherine Applegate, this story really touched her, and she decided that she wanted to write a book, and she wanted a character to tell Ivan's story. Okay? Now, Ivan did not stay in the mall for a long, long time. Well, I mean, he did stay for 27 years, but there was a group of people and children who decided that was not right. That was not a good thing for Ivan to be in the mall. And so they wanted to get him out of the mall, and they contacted the Atlanta Zoo. And the Atlanta Zoo has a rainforest enclosure. Now, it's still not Ivan's home in Africa, but at least he would be able to be outside, and he would be able to have trees, and he would be able to have grass. Okay? And food. He would have food. Now, they did feed him in the department store, but yet that's just a little area for him to play in. Okay? So, next slide. So, I have a video from the Atlanta Zoo that I would like you to watch and listen. Okay? The zookeeper is going to be speaking and tell you about Ivan. Okay? Is everybody ready to listen? Okay, here we go.
I'm Jody Kerrigan, the Assistant Curator of Primates here at Zoo Atlanta, and basically that just means I am a supervisor of our primates here. I'm really excited to talk about Ivan. Ivan was a Western lowland gorilla that I had the privilege of working with for 10 years while he was here at Zoo Atlanta. As a Western lowland gorilla, he lived in Africa, and that's where he was born. He was actually born in the wild. He was sold as a pet and lived in a home for several years of his life before moving to the B&I in Tacoma, Washington, where he spent about 27 years of his life at the B&I by himself. And then in 1994, he came to Zoo Atlanta, and that's where I was able to work with him here. Ivan has been made very popular by the book, The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. And it won the Newbery Medal, and it's now being turned into a movie, which is pretty amazing, especially because Ivan lived here at Zoo Atlanta for 18 years. And before that, he was at the B&I. In the book, it was called the Big Top Mall, and every day we have people coming here asking about Ivan and what he was like. Just the other day, I was in one of the habitats setting up for the gorillas, and one of the girls pointed and said, "You took care of Ivan." So it's really special that we were able to work with him and just form a very strong bond. When I first started here in 2003, I don't know what it was, but immediately we had a connection. And he followed me, he just wanted to spend a lot of time with me, and it worked out really well. He was such a unique gorilla. He wasn't your typical gorilla because of his upbringing. He had a lot of human qualities about him, which is not normal for a gorilla, and it just made him very unique and very special. When Ivan first got to Zoo Atlanta, he had a whole different situation that he had to deal with. So he lived for 27 years indoors. And so when he got to Zoo Atlanta, he had the wind, he had the rain, he had snow, he had all of those different elements that he's not used to. And he had to figure out how to handle that pretty quickly. Unfortunately, he did not prefer the outdoors when it was raining outside, or when it was cold outside, or when it was wet. or even just a little bit of dew on the grass, he was not a fan of. And so when we would open the door for him to have the option of going outside, he always wanted to stay indoors. So I was trying to figure, what can we do? Everything here has to look naturalistic. So one thing that I was able to do was I reached out to a coffee roaster, and the coffee beans come in burlap bags. So I was able to get some of those. It looks a little naturalistic, and I offered them to him. And believe it or not, he would step on it. And then he would take another bag and put it in front of him and step on that. And then take the one he just sat on and then put it in front of him after that. So he just did that until he got to the location that he wanted to be in, and then he would be fine. And then, of course, in true Ivan fashion, he would always put the burlap on his head, and he would just be sitting there looking at everybody and enjoying the outdoor area. He would look like a ghost. Painting in general is what we consider a form of enrichment. Kids, when they go to school, that is a form of enrichment. When I read the newspaper, that's a form of enrichment. It's something to keep your mind stimulated and occupied at times and learning. And so painting is one of many forms of enrichment that we do here at Zoo Atlanta. And not everybody is really into painting. So for the gorillas, for instance, we create a device made out of PVC, and there's a paintbrush that's attached to the end of it. And normally what happens is we're not able to give them the entire brush, but they use the PVC and maneuver the PVC to paint on that canvas. And so that's one of the ways that most of our gorillas will paint. If I were to give another gorilla a canvas, they would just break it and destroy it. But Ivan was so gentle with it. Ivan, of course, was just unique and different, and we were able to give him everything. And then when he was finished painting, he would give it right back and not destroy anything. In the book, he was really well known for his painting. His painting is one of the things that got him recognized and noticed, so that he was able to get out of the BNI, or the big top moth. And when I first started, I had asked someone, I said, "Have anyone painted with him?" Because I did some research on him, and sure enough, they said no one's ever painted with him. So I asked if I could try. I went out, I bought some canvas, I bought brushes, I bought paper, I bought paints. I had no clue, how he painted or what he did. And so, sure enough, he followed me right away. He saw the paints, he saw the canvas. What I was able to do was put paint on the canvas. I gave it to him, and he would paint, whether it be with his fingers, sometimes his tongue, or his lips, or the paintbrush. And he knew he was like a Picasso. He knew what he had to do with it, what he wanted to create. We got to the point where I was able to hold out all of the colors for paints, and he would point to which color he wanted to use. And so then I would put that on the canvas, give it to him, and then that's how we kind of ended up doing our painting routine. And sure enough, every time he picked red. That was why we said Ivan probably, we think, is his favorite color was red, because he picked red every single time. And so even if he just painted with red, we would keep it in the selection, and he would pick it again. So soon we realized we had to leave it out of the choice selection, that he needs some different varieties of colors. He has options of being wherever he wants to go. He can be indoors, he can be outdoors. At one point, he had 4 females with him, 4 gorilla companions. And of course, these are the opportunities that Ivan had a chance at here at Zoo Atlanta. So we were able to let him live like a gorilla and be a gorilla, which is exactly what anybody could ask for. The average lifespan for a gorilla in a zoological institution for a male is 32 and a half, and for a female is 37. Ivan lived till he was 50 years old. That is an amazing lifetime for a gorilla. That's like a 100-year-old human. So he lived to be 50 years old, which is pretty amazing. Ivan we always think of as a great ambassador for his species of the gorillas. The gorillas, and all gorillas, are critically endangered, which means there's not a lot of time left to help them out. The next category after critically endangered is extinct. I always say endangered means there's still time, extinct is forever. So it's really important, and we have a capability of helping out in this realm where we're able to help their species. And just Ivan being part of this book and just everybody knowing Ivan in their household just brings light about gorillas. You know, people are learning about gorillas, they know about Ivan, they want to learn more about gorillas, which makes him the perfect ambassador. I couldn't have thought of a better ambassador for gorillas than Ivan, our gorilla here at Zoo Atlanta.
So boys and girls, have you figured out yet what our one book, one school is going to be? So we have our story that we're going to read together is The One and Only Ivan, or The Remarkable Story of Ivan for our elementary students. So if you give us just a minute. Boys and girls, as we get ready for the next part of our assembly today, I want to thank some really special hardworking teachers on the Literacy and Social Studies Committee who have worked hard to get things ready for our One Book, One School for our reading month. So all of our teachers who have helped out with that, please stand up so that the students can look around and see who's been working hard and helping out with that. All right. Let's give him a hand. So boys and girls, today,
Someone's head. Tell them someone's in a gorilla suit. She can't always see it. See his white teeth?
I know it's very exciting for you to see our special guest today, but as I read the first part of the chapter, The One and Only Ivan, I want you to take a look at Ivan and I want you to think about what his day was like every day. In one small enclosure, inside and not outside, by himself, with people who used him to get people to come to their school. Our book is told by Ivan. So as I read today, you're hearing what he might have thought or felt. We don't know for sure because people and gorillas have a hard time communicating big ideas and big thoughts.
We can't.
But our book has information about what it might have been like for Ivan. Hello. I'm Ivan. I am a gorilla. It's not as easy as it looks. People call me the three-way gorilla, the 8 at exit 8, the one and only Ivan, mighty silverback. The names are mine, but they're not me. I am Ivan, just Ivan, only Ivan. Humans waste words. They toss them like banana peels, and they leave them to rot. Everyone knows peels are the best part. I suppose you think gorillas can't understand you. Of course, you also probably think that we can't walk upright. Try knuckle walking for an hour, and you tell me which way is more fun. I've learned to understand human words over the years, but understanding human speech is not the same as understanding humans. Humans speak too much. They chatter like chimps, crowding the world with their noise even when they have nothing to say. It took me some time to recognize all those human sounds, to weave words into things, but I was patient. Patient is a useful way to be when you're an ape. Gorillas are as patient as stones. Humans, not so much. How I look.
I used to be a wild gorilla, and I still look the part. I have a gorilla's shy gaze, a gorilla's sly smile. I wear a snowy saddle of fur, the uniform of a silverback. When the sun warms my back, I cast a gorilla's majestic shadow. In my size, humans see a test of themselves. They hear fighting words on the wind when all I'm thinking is how the late day sun reminds me of a ripe nectarine. I'm mightier than any human, 400 pounds of pure power. My body looks made for battle. My arms outstretched span taller than the tallest human. My family tree spreads wide as well. I am a great ape, and you are a great ape, and so are chimpanzees and orangutans and bonobos, all of us distant and distrustful cousins. I know this is troubling. I too find it hard to believe there is a connection across time and space linking me to a race of ill-mannered clowns. Chimps. There's no excuse for them. The Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I live in a human habitat called the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. We're conveniently located off I-95 with shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year. Matt says that when he answers the trilling telephone. Matt works here at the mall. He's the boss. I work here too. I am the gorilla. At the Big Top Mall, a creaky musical carousel spins all day, and monkeys and parrots live amid the merchants. In the middle of the mall is a ring with benches where humans can sit on their rumps while they eat soft pretzels. The floor is covered with sawdust made of dead trees. My domain is at one end of the ring. I live here because I am too much gorilla and not enough human. Stella's domain is next to mine. Stella is an elephant. She and Bob, who is a dog, are my dearest friends. At present, I do not have any gorilla friends. My domain is made of thick glass and rusty metal and rough cement. Stella's domain is made of metal bars. The sun bear's domain is wood. The parrot's is wire mesh. 3 of my walls are glass. One of them is cracked, and a small piece about the size of my hand is missing from its bottom corner. I made the hole with a baseball bat Matt gave me for my 6th birthday. After that, he took the bat away, but he let me keep the baseball that came with it. A jungle scene is painted on one of my domain walls. It has a waterfall without water, and flowers without scent, and trees without roots. I didn't paint it, but I enjoy the way the shapes flow across my wall, even if it isn't much of a jungle. I am lucky my domain has 3 windowed walls. I can see the whole mall and a bit of the world beyond. The frantic pinball machines, the pink billows of cotton candy, the vast and treeless parking lot. Beyond the lot is a freeway where cars stampede without end. A giant sign at its edges beckons them to stop and rest like gazelles at a watering hole. The sign is faded, the colors bleeding, but I know what it says. Mac read its words aloud one day. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, mighty silverback. Sadly, I cannot read, although I wish I could. Reading stories would make a fine way to fill my empty hours. Once, however, I was able to enjoy a book left in my domain by one of my keepers. It tasted like termites. The freeway billboard has a drawing of Mac in his clown clothes and Stella on her hind legs and an angry animal with fierce eyes and unkempt hair. That animal is supposed to be me, but the artist made a mistake. I am never angry. Anger is precious. A silverback uses anger to maintain order and warn his troop of danger. When my father beat his chest, it was to say, beware, listen, I am in charge. I am angry to protect you because that is what I was born to do. Here in my domain, there is no one to protect. this time, we're going to call students forward to receive their classroom book that will be read in classrooms. We're going to start with our 5th graders and let them lead the way. From Ms. Bunch's class, Mila. From Mr. Routson, Valerie. And from Ms. Smock, Colin T. Please come forward to receive your book. From our 4th grade classrooms, Carol from Ms. Bargers, Melissa from Ms. Bain, Stephen from Ms. Willard, and Addison from Mr. Trice. Please come forward to receive your books. From our 3rd grade classrooms, Kenley from Mrs. French, Elvis from Ms. O'Neill, Daniel from Ms. Shiplet, and Logan from Mr. White. Please come forward. And from our 2nd grade classroom, Sarah from Mrs. Bowman, Chloe from Mrs. French, Lily from Mrs. Howard, and Trey from Mrs. Hall. Please come forward. From our 1st grade classes, Raven from Ms. Coffey, Thomas from Mrs. Templeton, and Lixie from Mrs. Wheeler. And from our kindergarten classroom, Catherine from Ms. Flannery, Corinne from Ms. Twiggs, Adeline from Ms. McAlee, and Avery from Ms. Ziegler.
Yep, tell them we can never get it to work. Almost finished now.
At this time, can we get our drummers back to the front? Our drum circle.
Almost finished. Yeah, we missed it.
All right, boys and girls, we're gonna have our drummers drum a little more for you on our way out. So if you will quietly make eye contact with your teacher. As our drummers play, we're gonna have everybody look at your teacher before you get up.